don't know where everybody is today. They don't like us today. Must have been a skip day and they didn't tell us because we're not the cool kids. Anyway. Gross profit method of estimating inventory. I didn't do that. It's at the bottom of page 485, or it is for page 485, and then on page 486. And this is just strange. The way they do it is strange. This is the one I was talking about strange. I went on and did the markup and margin discussion last time. But let's do this too. The illustration 914 at the top. So what we've got is a situation where we are going to estimate cost of goods sold and we are going to estimate inventory, okay? So you might use this when you're doing monthly financial statements and you don't want to count the inventory. You can estimate the inventory and the cost of goods sold. You might do it because you're doing quarterly statements, same deal. Or maybe you have inventory lost or stolen or it burns up in a fire or something, and you need to estimate what your inventory loss was. Got the idea? So what you do is you figure out what your normal gross profit percentage is, okay? Which is just a relationship between the sales price and the cost. In their situation here, they say their normal gross profit is 30%, right? And they know what their sales were because you've been recording your sales. So if I know, I wouldn't do it the way they're doing it there. I'd do it like this. I'd say, okay, I've got my inventory. What did I start with in inventory? Beginning inventory at cost. 60,000. Guess what goes into inventory? That's beginning. Purchase is going. What comes out? What's it left? Ending. That's the world I live in. You guys too? Okay, so I know the 60. And then I've been keeping track of my purchases and I've been keeping track of my sales. What's in my sales account? 280, I guess it was. A little example in the book. This is 280,000, right? Okay. If I figured out how much they cost, that's the sales price, right? If I figured out the cost, I can use that as cost of goods sold, couldn't I? Everybody agree? I can use this to compute that. That's all we're doing, okay? So what they said is the sales price is 100% of itself. The cost of goods sold is 70%, right? Because they said they have a gross profit percentage of 30%. Got it?
Yes.
So guess what? 280 times 70% must be your cost. How much is that? 196?
Yeah.
Now they went through a whole bunch of gyrations, several calculations, so they could have just done one, right? That's 196. And then you also track your purchases. By the way, what kind of an inventory system am I using here if I use an inventory account like this? It looks like perpetual, but it wouldn't matter if it was periodic, right? Because you'd have a purchases account that have the purchases in it anyway, so you could still calculate it, couldn't you? Okay? So how much were the purchases?
Purchases?
200. Guess what? I bought 200. I sold 196. I started with 60. Can you tell me what I must have left?
64.
Everybody good? Could you come up with that 64? Of course you could. I'll give you the opportunity to and actually give you points for it. What a nice guy. Okay, let's say instead of this situation, I know exactly the same thing, except I go count my inventory, right? Let's say I count my inventory now after a fire or after a theft, right? And I have 20,000 left. So I know I've got 20 left. I know I started with 60. I know I bought 200. I estimate, compute, right?
Yes.
That I sold 196 of it. Gee, I think I should have 64. How much is not there?
A lot.
It looks like I have stolen or burned or whatever. How much? 44,000 has to be the loss. You are going to get points on the CPA exam for doing this. Don't memorize a formula. It's just common sense. Use the accounts. Yeah.
What would you write it down as? Like loss on holding inventory or something?
No, if it burned,
Yeah.
right? If it burned up, I'd have fire loss,
Okay.
which is a non-operating loss of 44,000, and I would credit inventory for 44,000. How about if I recovered 30,000? I have an insurance policy for 30,000. The insurance company sends me 30,000. must only be what? Ta-da! Right, guys?
So would that be something like the insurance company would cover some percentage of your loss, and then you would just...
Yeah, well, you might have a max in your policy, or they cover some percentage. There might be a deductible or something. Right? Easy. So this is no big deal. There's a bunch of problems that you're working with. Are you guys getting to see your work? Most of the problems at the end of the chapters. Are you there yet? Yeah. You know what these auditing students are doing? They're going out online and there's Quizlet. You seen Quizlet yet? Yeah, they're using Quizlet. And there's tons and tons of questions out there. And some of them have said, I worked some of the questions on your exam. And I says, well, how many questions are you working? Oh, I don't know, hundreds. Well, yeah, I've seen it before. So what? What if you worked every single multiple choice problem you could find from old CPA exams? All of them. There are thousands of them out there. What if you work them all? What's going to happen when you take the CPA exam? You're going to know the answers. You still have to work it. You can't remember thousands of them. You know, you're not remembering was it A, B, C, D. You know how to work it, right? You don't memorize the questions, but you know it, right? It's really cool taking exams when you know the answer, right? And it's always you can figure it out. It's not you know it. This is not recall, is it? Drive you crazy. Okay? Just work, work, work. Did he give you his principles book yet?
No, I completely...
You know, if I gave you mine, if I give you this one, I'll give you this one, and that'll remind me to get my other one, maybe. It'll remind me.
Let's put a reminder on your phone.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I usually just set an alarm for the name and leave it to remind me.
You have to do something for me to loan this to you. One, you have to return it so I can loan it to somebody else.
Okay.
But two, you have to send me an email saying, Keith, remember to give your book and take the class.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Okay. Yeah, those are letters.
Letters from your sweetheart.
Students, yeah. For students, different situations. Okay, anyway, so let's do something else. Should we start talking about retail?
Yes.
Oh, fine. Did you read through that stuff?
Yeah.
Holy cow. So we'll get started here, and then we got another day to mess with this, so then you can work a bunch of them in between. Okay.
Quiz Wednesday. That's probably what it is.
Wednesday and Monday we have a review. If anybody's going to come, we'll find out. Okay, anyway. Yeah. So, retail inventory method, who would use that? Look at the bottom of page 488. You know, little people like Target, Home Depot, Sears, Bloomingdale's.
Small stores.
Yeah, small people are using it. It's retail. Walmart uses it, do they? Yeah. Little tiny company. Oh, there it is up there. Yeah, Target, Best Buy, Safeway. Yeah. Little guys. Yeah. Okay. Walmart somewhere there. Anyway, yeah. So lots of people do this. Why would they do it? Because they know what the retail sales price is. It's right on the bin, you know, the shelf where their product is. So they count how many items they have, and then they write down what the sales price is. That's the current sales price. That's not the cost. So then what they're going to do is they're going to multiply the quantity they have of each of the items times the sales price, and they're going to add up all the items, and they are going to get inventory at sales price, and then they're going to estimate what the inventory must be, and based on that, they're going to estimate cost of goods sold. So it's kind of like this gross profit method we just did.
Yeah.
It's exactly like it's doing the same thing. Okay? Now there are different methods, though. What are they? And this chapter, I hope in the new book, we're going to have a new one. Oh, by the way, do 212 and 313 you're going to be doing, but do it right away. Don't wait. If you wait, you might have to buy another book, because we're starting a new book in the fall, right? So summer I'll use this one again for 211, but in the fall I'm starting with a new one for 211. So in the spring we'll have the new one for 212, right? So get 212 done in the fall, right? Guess it'll probably be 313 summer and 212 fall. People who don't do that, I'll have to figure out There's a new book for what?
Is there a new book basically for 313?
No, well, yes, but you don't need to get it until you're 313. You always have to get one there. We use the rest of this book. Oh, for 313, you'll use the rest of this book.
Okay, so we don't
Right,
need
yeah.
another book?
You guys are not going to need another book. You do 313 either this summer, well, actually ever, because 212 is going to be half the new book, and 211 is going to be the other. So you're not going to have to buy another new book. Don't worry about it. Okay? Unless you wait a year to take them. Right, guys? Don't wait. And then you could probably use the old book and just write it. Right? Because there's going to be some changes. Anyway, what I'm hoping in the new book is that they reorganize this chapter a little, because I think they jump all over the place here, which makes it harder to understand what's going on. But you got the idea what retail inventory method would be and why people would do that? You think a manufacturer would use retail inventory method? They don't have the retail sales price written down anywhere. They don't care what the retail sales price is. Maybe, I mean, they do because their customers are selling it for that, but they're not selling it for that. So, of course, they use some sort of cost method. Make sense? This would be for retailers. What's a retailer? Somebody who sells to the general public, right? You guys know this stuff, okay? You guys don't realize how much your knowledge base is building. I can see it happen, right? You guys know all kinds of stuff that you didn't used to know, or at least you sort of knew it, but you didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? From just living life. So it's building, and you're getting more valuable all the time. I wouldn't hire you, but somebody probably will. Anyway, all right. So what are the retail methods that I need you to know, or you need to know? To survive me, you need to know, I guess. Retail methods, what are they? We have a conventional, that's one. Now, these terms are really annoying at first. Conventional is also what?
What is it, markups?
This is markup, markdown thing, but what's conventional mean? What does it approximate? Over on page 490, where it's in blue, conventional retail method or the lower of cost or market. This is the same as lower of cost or market. It's an approximation of lower of cost or market. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? They have one that they just call what? Retail inventory method. Oh, what's that one? So conventionally, I guess conventionally we should use lower of cost or market. Huh? I guess that's why it's called conventional. Okay. And then what else would there be? There's sort of an average cost. I call it an average. Or just regular lower of cost. Or regular retail, I'm sorry. Okay. Average cost. You know what the deal is? That's going to include both markups and markdowns. That's going to be the only difference between these. Okay? So this thing is going to include both markups and markdowns. What's the deal with the lower cost or markup? If you look at that conventional one, what do they include? At the bottom of page 490, the chapter is really strangely organized. They have assumption A and assumption B. One uses after markups, but before markdowns, and the other one includes both. Which one's which? The conventional retail uses what? They're in bold. The bottom of page 490. What does it say?
Assumption A, which is after markups.
But not markdowns. Only markups. That you have to remember, but it'll make sense after you do the one. Okay? You practice it. And on average, you use both. Okay? Right? And there's another method. What's the other method? You have to go text the back of the chapter somewhere. In the appendix, 9A. LIFO. Oh, no. So now we've got LIFO retail method. Okay? In the LIFO retail method, you're going to include both difference between LIFO and average. What are we going to do here? We're going to separate the beginning inventory. And the reason we do that is it's LIFO and you use the new stuff, right? Sell the new stuff before the old stuff, right? Last in, first out. Okay? So we'll have a layer, right, left there. Everybody got it? And so we're just doing an approximation of each of these with the retail method. So I'm going to want you to do all three of these. So we can take one problem and try and do all three, okay? Everybody got it?
Yeah.
So it's not really that bad once you see it, okay? What's a markup?
When inventory goes up.
When inventory goes up, markup. Markup and markdown. Think about markup and markdown relative to retail.
Change the price.
Change the price, retail sales price, is when the sales price goes up, right? So what would a markup be? They're selling for more than the higher price component. What would a markdown be? Is the sales price. They're selling for less, right? Do you have both? Sure you do. If a product is real popular, what happens? You mark it up. They never tell you that they've done that. Nobody advertises we increase the sales price, but people do, okay? And if they're having trouble selling it, or they want to motivate people to buy, what might they do? Well, might lower the price, mark down, okay? So it's both. What's a mark-up cancellation? You marked it up and then had to mark it back down, or did, decided. Okay? What's a markdown cancellation? You mark it down, the sale's over, you mark it back up. No kidding. You can always just now, right? So if they give you both, is that a harder problem? No. Just take the difference between the markups and the markup cancellations, and get the net, and do the same thing with the markdowns. Good? Okay. What about things like freight? Freight in is part of the inventory cost. It's cost, right? What about freight out? Has nothing to do with inventory. You guys do know this, right? That's a selling expense. Okay, so let yourself use that. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, you could have employee discounts, you could have sales to employees, you could have all sorts of things that you just need to think about. Do they adjust the sales price or do they adjust the cost? Everybody hear that? Does the item just adjust sales? Does it just adjust cost, right? Freight just adjusts cost, doesn't change the sales price, right? Freight in, right? What about a sales allowance? I give somebody an allowance, but they don't give me the inventory back. That only adjusts the sales price, right? What if I have a sales return? It adjusts both. The sales price and the inventory, because I got the stuff back. Everybody got it? So that's the thought process, and this will drive you nuts, okay? They give you a whole bunch of examples. They give you some problems where you try different things. This will drive you insane. At most schools, you would not do this. You wouldn't do any of these methods, much less the one in the appendix. Good for you guys, right? This chapter is going to be real easy, except for this stuff. It is pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, there's not much to it. So what do I like to test on, of course? All of it. But I'm going to give you these for sure. These are fun, okay? Entertaining. So good to see if you get it.
This is going to be the 15 points. And the
Oh, you got it. Yeah, that is a 10, yeah. 1 point each for the other questions. Yeah, something like that. Okay, anyway. So let's see if we can, let's just work through their example here. Let's start with the easier ones, I guess. They're easier. Take a look at illustration 919. Okay? They give you a little problem. And then what we'll do maybe next time is work a problem, huh? Okay, this time we'll just talk our way through it. So take a look on page 491. And the one in A that they're doing is they're including both they're only including markdowns in part A, and then in part B they're doing both. So part A is what? On page 491, again, the chapter's kind of organized weird, but what are they doing there? The red A in that brown box in 491?
They're doing conventional.
That's the conventional, which is the same as lower cost or market. Write that down in your book there, right next to it. I'd write down that is lower cost or market. And then if you use both the markups and markdowns at the bottom of the page, which method are you doing there? That's the average. Got it? They don't call it average. They just call it retail method. Okay? All right. So how is this working? inventory at cost and retail. Where would we get that? We had it last time we did this, right? We priced our inventory out at retail, and we computed what our estimate of what cost is. Okay? And then they have their purchases. Cost them $20,000. How do we know we're going to sell them for $35,000? Because we know what our normal gross profit margin is, right? What's their normal gross profit margin? Somebody do this one. What's their normal cost of goods sold percentage? What do you do? I know what it is already. I can get in my head. No, I can't. It's 20 and 35. I take it back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe I can't.
It's 71.4 for cost of goods sold, so 29.6.
Everybody agree? That's it, right? All you do is take the 20 divided by 35 or 15 divided by 35 and you get the two of them. So it's about 70-30, something like that. Okay? Everybody got it?
20 divided by
25.
20 divided by 35.
Oh, whoops.
57%? Well, you have to actually be able to use a calculator. So there, okay. 57%?
Yeah.
And then that's the cost percentage, and then so it must be 43%. Okay? So what's 15 divided by 35? 42 to 43%. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Okay? All right. All right. Good thing you double check it work. Be careful. Okay, anyway. Yeah. All right, then what, guys? We're going to figure out the new one. Okay? By the way, what was it last year at the end of the year? It's kind of a strange problem. Looks like 50%, doesn't it?
Yeah.
500 divided by 1,000. Okay, anyway. So this is not LIFO. So we're including the beginning inventory. Everybody got it? On LIFO, all I'm going to do is separate that beginning inventory. Okay? And calculate the new one and have another layer. Okay, anyway. So when I add together the beginning, they show there, plus that cost and at retail, I get the relationship, right, or the total of them, right? You're going to need to add in markups and markup cancellations, okay? Why are we adding markups? And where are we adding markups? Only to what? To the sales price, because we didn't change the cost by marking something up, okay? So we got the markups less the markup cancellations is 2,000. See it there? So what I'm saying is, look, I have 20,500 at cost, and retail, including the markups, is 38,000, and I can get a cost to retail percentage. That's the first one I'm getting. You see the 53.9 there they did?
Yeah.
Nothing to it, right? Okay. Now, if you wanted to do, now what is it giving me? Lower cost or market, or conventional lower cost or market, same thing, or giving me average? What is it giving me? Lower cost or market, because I only included the markups. If you put the markup downs in, see in part B? Yeah. Notice they go ahead and now they take the markdowns out, less the markdown cancellations, get the net markdowns, and they've adjusted just the retail sales price. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and you get a new percentage, 54.7. Which of these is going to give me a lower inventory, which would be a representation of lower of cost or market? Which is going to give me a lower inventory? If I use a 54% or a 55%, 53.9 or 54.7, what's going to happen?
54%.
I think 54.7, what's that going to do for me though? Careful.
Give you a
Lower inventory? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure the inventory at retail. And then I'm taking the percent times it. So 55% is more than 54%. A is going to give me a lower one. It's a smaller percentage. I'm not computing the cost of goods sold. I'm computing the inventory.
Okay.
Okay? So whatever my inventory is at retail, it's going to be the same for both of them. In one case, I take it times 54%. In the other case, I take it times 55%. Got it? The one at 54% is more conservative, lower of cost or market. It's a lower estimate. All that's happening. What you got to remember is you are not computing the cost of goods sold. You are computing the ending inventory. Okay? That's the trick of this thing. Okay? All right? And we'll continue on this example to make it a little clearer. Okay? All right. So we get these cost to retail percentages, right? Okay? Everybody good? So actually they call it average cost. They just call it the cost, which is an average cost. They call it cost. I take it back. They did. Okay. I didn't bring it back. Yeah, but it's average cost basically. Okay. So then what do? Let's flip over to would they continue over on page? No, it's okay. On page 491. Notice what they did was they deducted the sales at net from retail. So think about this. It's like, it looks like this. I have sales, right? Inventory at sales price, okay? I have the beginning inventory at retail, right? This is retail. Sales is retail. I have the beginning inventory at retail. I add all my purchases at retail. I subtract my sales, which of course are at retail. And what do I have? My ending inventory at retail. Ready to read? That's all we did. So here we've got, if you look at this chart on page 491, they start with the beginning inventory at retail, they add the purchases at retail, they adjust for the markups and markdowns, right?
So is this retail inventory? Like,
Yeah,
okay.
retail inventory, okay? So, retail inventory, yeah. Okay, so, you know, I end up, then I subtract the sales from it at retail, right? Okay? And that gives me my ending inventory at retail. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that number times one of those percentages to get my inventory at cost. Make sense? Okay? It's kind of much ado about nothing, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, so what will happen when we do this? What would the inventories be? Let's do it with the numbers they have there, even though the example doesn't really do that. Let's do it with these numbers. You tell me what inventory would be at lower of cost or market, conventional or lower cost or market, and at average cost. What will the ending inventory be in both cases? How would you get it?
You would take the, well, okay, for the lower cost market, you would do the 38,000 times 2539.
38,000. How much ending inventory do you have at retail? 12.5.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
How's that probably the cost?
Times what? What was the cost for lower cost or market?
53.9.
3.9. Okay. I could have written a much better chapter. I don't know what they did with this. 54.7 on this one, right, guys? I don't think they show you that. They should. They changed their example. Okay, what's 12.5 times 0.539?
6,737.50.
Okay. What would the inventory be? That'd be your ending inventory, right? What would the ending inventory be at average? 12.5 times 54.7.
6,837.56.
Okay, now here's the deal. Pretend it's millions. It matters, doesn't it? Okay? It's only $100 here, but you know, in real life, this could make a big difference, couldn't it? Okay? It's millions or something. Okay, what's going to happen to your cost of goods sold with these two methods? Seeing as what's available is exactly the same both times. If the inventory is more, cost of goods sold would be less. If the inventory is less, cost of goods sold would be more. Okay, how are you going to calculate your cost of goods sold? What do we have for total available? 20,500 either way, right, guys? What would you subtract? So next to the 25,000 you've got there, right? I'm sorry, next to the 12.5 you've got for ending inventory. If you wrote either one of those next to it, that would be the ending inventory. You're putting the column cost. All you have to do is take 20,500 less 6,737.50, and you've got cost of goods sold. So that's ending inventory. What's cost of goods sold? Got to total the same amount both times, doesn't it? What's cost of goods sold at both of these? See what I'm doing? So take 6,737.50 away from the 20,500. That must be the cost of goods sold for lower cost or market, right? How much is that?
18,262.
20,500 less 6,737?
18,262.
That's too much. 20,500 is what's available. Beginning plus purchase.
13,762.50.
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. All right. You got to take turns making mistakes. Okay.
Yeah,
So then, yeah, 6,837.50 less than 20,500. Just want to make a point why. This is going to be slightly less, right?
13,662.
Good. See what's going on, you guys? It's not a big deal, is it? Okay. What's the key thing you need to do? If I am doing conventional, I am going to include, before I do my percentage, I am going to do what? I'm going to adjust, include the markups, right? Net markups. I'm going to leave out the markdowns. Do I still have to subtract the markdowns, by the way, to get my ending retail inventory? Sure. And you can see they did that, right? So I'm going to get a different percentage than if I did both of them, which is going to be the average cost. Everybody got it? Isn't this fun?
So you're just getting your percentage.
Getting your percentage different.
So
Yeah.
conventionally you get the percentage, then you do your markdown.
Yeah. And for the average, you do both before you get your percentage. Okay? What are you going to do if oh, by the way, the total has to be the same, right? Has to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay? The total available is the total available. Okay? What are you going to do if you do LIFO, do you think? Just regular LIFO. They show a LIFO. When we get back to the stable prices LIFO,
Yeah.
that's assuming that there's no inflation going on. What do you do back there? Take a look on page 498 at the top. LIFO retail with stable prices. Stable prices means there's no price level adjustment, right? Okay. And then later we'll add that. Okay. We'll add the adjustment. So look at that top box. Notice the line under the beginning inventory. Separate the beginning inventory. What's the cost of retail at the beginning inventory? 27 divided by 45 there. What is that percentage? 60%? Yeah. Then on the new stuff, there's the purchases. So they draw a line across there. In your book, put a dark line all the way across that. Right? You are separating that, right? You're keeping it separate. That's a layer of inventory. Everybody got it? So it's really rough, but that's our old inventory. That's our LIFO inventory. So then what we're going to do is we're going to sell the new stuff first. Okay? So then they show their purchases in the period, both at cost and retail, do the markups and markdowns. So this is an average method, really. I suppose you could do a lower cost or market method by just leaving out the markdowns here, couldn't you? I won't test you on something like that, but you could if you wanted, right? You could adjust it to, it would be LIFO, lower cost or market. Okay? Anyway, but LIFO is usually lower value anyway, right? If it's inflation. Okay? So anyway, they've done both, and now they get their percentage excluding the beginning inventory. So what is that percentage? 70% they calculated there? See at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take your sales away from that. So what do I have if I take my sales away from that? Well, first they did their totals, including the beginning inventory. Then you take your sales away from that. So what is this inventory at 56? It's my ending inventory at retail. But how am I going to determine what my inventory is? What was my beginning?
45.
Do I still have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because 45 is less than 56. So I have 45 at 70%. Go down to the next little chart there, illustration 9A2. I have 45,000 from the base year, right? From last year. Last year is always the base year, I guess. At 60% is 27,000. You guys see it? And then I have a new layer. How much did I add this year? At retail, it's another 11,000. And that's at 70% because that's my new cost to retail percentage. Everybody got it? What if at the end I had inventory left of 40,000? What would I have done? If my ending inventory at retail is 40,000, what's left?
You only have the 20.
Only beginning inventory. It'd be 40 times 60%. It'd be a 24,000 inventory. You guys see it? Not a big deal. All you do is you separate that beginning inventory. So imagine I give you a problem, set of data, and I say, give me average cost, ending inventory and cost of goods sold. Give me lower of cost or market, ending inventory and cost of goods sold, and give me LIFO, ending inventory and cost of goods sold. Could you do it with the same data? Just calculate all of it. You can use any of the problems at the end of the chapter to practice this stuff. Got it? Pretty easy. We'll do it next time. After you get your head around what you're doing, it's real easy. Keeping them straight might be a pain. Okay? All right? And then next time, what we'll do is we'll get into dollar value LIFO. Because now guess what we have to do? We have to do the layers and do change in price index together. And you know what? After you can do that, these other retail inventory methods are a joke, and dollar value LIFO is a joke by itself. You put those two together, all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute, right? And by the way, FIFO, LIFO, and average at this point, specific identification, and gross profit method, and all that stuff, cost of retail, piece of cake, right? All the stuff your competitors think are hard, you think it's nothing by the time you do all this study. Anyway, see you guys later. Everybody signed up. It's too late for KPMG, but everybody signed up for Pricewaterhouse. You have till the 15th to sign up for that. Pricewaterhouse. Everybody ought to be going. What's the young woman's name at KPMG again? Amy?
Thorpe.
Amy Thorpe? Yeah. I talked to Amy on the phone.
You did.
Yeah, and she said I can come if I want. She'd rather I didn't, but
Of course you can come.
yeah. I was thinking, God, if only she'd say, no, it's inappropriate, you can't be here. I wouldn't have to go. Would I rather go to a ball game with you guys or with my grandchildren? Yeah, no kidding.
Why don't you bring? You should have asked them.
Yeah, not this. I can't.
Oh.
This I cannot. Yeah. But you know what? If I take my grandchildren, I can drink beer. If I go with you guys, I'll probably still drink. But you know, probably should. If you're not 21, please do not drink at these events. Got it? If you are 21, don't drink unless the person happens